mythologies of free enterprise were an inaccurate depiction of the nature of American economic development, which has always been a product of a combination of government and the private sector, or as it came to be known, the mixed economy. Celebrants of free enterprise seemed like hypocrites or prevaricators. However, I discovered that the idea of free enterprise is also a myth in another, more important sense, a set of assumptions, narratives, and attitudes that has guided our common sense and, regardless of empirical accuracy, has dramatically shaped how Americans have understood and engaged in politics. In what Henry Hazlitt, the Newsweek economics columnist, called in 1949 the ideological war for free enterprise, the creation of guiding narratives was pivotal. To take one example, free enterprisers developed a populist language in which they described prerogatives of the business firm as a source of individual freedom. Talk to the average man, and he'll tell you free enterprise means the right of corporate enterprises to make profits, declared a 1944 advertisement for Baltimore's First National Bank. Speaking on behalf of the average man and identifying his interests with banks and other businesses and against the government crucially shaped the political landscape of the 20th century and beyond. Free enterprise advocates invoked myth in still another way when they described it as a custom. Those who from the 1920s through the 1970s reinvented the phrase and gave it an entirely new meaning as an anti-New Deal slogan almost immediately portrayed it as an old-fashioned verity. They referred to it as the traditional American free enterprise system and called it the realization of the hopes and aims and aspirations of man as far back as we have recorded history. Converting a 19th century term with fluid and clashing connotations into an age-old custom required retroactively reading a new conception of the term into the past, thus denying the right of others to claim it in the present. Free enterprise, according to Ogden Mills, stood for the maintenance of our economic and political system as it developed over a century and a half of amazing progress. Like other opponents of the New Deal, Mills feared that attacks on free enterprise, the light that guided Western civilization for over 100 years, would lead to civilizational collapse. Finally, myth inoculated against incorrect predictions. Most of the disasters predicted by free enterprisers failed to materialize. The Social Security Act did not destroy the free enterprise system in the 1930s, as opponents claimed it would. But the power of the discourse did not inhere in its predictive capacity or its truth claims, but in its repetitious familiarity. Believers treated it as a secular religion requiring and rewarding faith. Political defeat only emboldened them to call for what the Republican Indiana Senator Raymond E. Willis termed in 1943 a rebirth of faith in our philosophy of free enterprise that was necessary to combat the future possibility of statist tyranny. In 1977, Ronald Reagan, the once and future Republican presidential candidate, argued that the free enterprise system has never failed us once. On the contrary, we have failed the system, usually by lacking faith in it. Like other faith-based doctrines, it could be maddeningly opaque or unpersuasive to its critics. Yet the merger of faith with myth proved enduring and powerful. The commonly used phrase free enterprise system, first coined in 1924, system of free enterprise was first used in 1919, suggested a capaciousness of meaning. Just as advocates of the free labor system of the 19th century took it to be the building block of a democratic and prosperous society, those who spoke of free enterprise conceived of it as a complete civilizational ecosystem. The word system suggested both that free enterprise comprised an organic whole and that it was incompatible with other systems. It was also a language of naturalization. Advocates treated free enterprise as a self-governing force endangered most of all by artificial efforts, such as state intervention, to interfere with it. Believers in this idea